Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Amanda and I am a neurodivergent woman. I am autistic, I have ADHD, aphantasia, and a rare memory disorder called SDAM, stands for severely deficient autobiographical memory. So today I want to talk about aphantasia, which is the inability to visualize in your mind's eye. And it's pretty rare. I think 2 to 5% of the population right now they suspect might have aphantasia. And I have even a more rare form of aphantasia, which is called multisensory, or some people say total aphantasia. And that means that I can't experience any of the senses in my mind's eye. So this morning on Facebook, someone posted a question, or I don't know, it was like to an article, and it showed the head of a T-Rex and then the bottom two legs of a T-Rex, and then everything in the middle was erased. And the prompt was fill in the T-Rex with in a way that AI wouldn't do it. I thought that's kind of fun. And I've seen these kind of prompts before. I even had like a kid's coloring book where it was just like a couple scribbles on the page, and it's like, use your creativity to create the rest of the picture. So I've always kind of struggled with these kinds of prompts because when I see the head of the T-Rex and the feet of the T-Rex, I just want to fill in the rest of the T-Rex. But then when I clicked on the link to see what people had submitted as their answers, and I'm going to try to find it and like put some of the pictures here, the creativity is just astounding, and I love it. And the thing is, I've always considered myself a creative person. I love to create. I love to do creative things. And it's like once that got switched on, once I saw other people's reference points, then I could probably create something completely different from all of those. But my first instinct is to just head of T-Rex, feet of T-Rex, put in the body of a T-Rex. That like my first instinct would just be to draw the T-Rex, even though the prompt says something that AI wouldn't do. So, the other artists that submitted it did things like, create complete different interpretations of this head and these feet. Well, when I'm drawing, and I haven't drawn in many years, but I used to draw a lot more when I was younger, I always have to use reference photos. I went to school as an architect student. I graduated with a degree in, it's like pre-architecture, because in order to be an actual architect, you have to go on to get your master's. But I got a bachelor's of architecture. I also it was like kind of the beginnings of like digital age when I graduated. And so right out of college, I actually got a job as a graphic designer. And I worked underneath kind of like an internship, and my boss absolutely loved my work because I was so good at copying her style. I never tried to add in my own influences. She had worked with other graphic designers before, and it was frustrating because they kept wanting to add in their own style. And we were or her goal was, to create a cohesive, back then it was like website designs, and all of the elements needed to be in the same style. So that's where like I shone. It was like I thought I called myself a copycat artist, and I could look at her style and copy it directly. So we did a lot of icon design, like the little magnifying glasses and the arrows, just any of the buttons that you would need to click on a website. We actually designed what those buttons look like. And so she would like set up a color palette and a look, whether the line art, all of that. And then she would give me a list of icons that needed to be designed in that style. And so I would use Adobe Illustrator and create these icons. And I could match her style exactly. She'd be like, yep, if I was going to make that icon, it would look exactly like that. And then I kind of started to branch out a little bit, and I wanted to do so we would have clients that would come in and hire us. And some of them she would say, okay, here's the parameters. Why don't you go ahead and start working towards a design for what their website should look like? And it was much, much, much more difficult for me. I definitely had to pull. So a lot of times that would include a logo design, like they needed a logo for their company. And I just cannot visualize like logos in my head. So what I do is I would reference just so many logos in their industry, plus just logos, using their color palette. And I would just pull and take elements and I would create something unique. It's not like I'm copying some logo that already existed out there, but I mean, to the best of my knowledge, because let's face it, like I feel like everything out there has already been done, right? But I would, take reference points to create um, a new logo for the client. And it was really hard because you couldn't just do one. You had to give them like 3 or 4 choices, right? Like you can't just be like, here's your logo design. So I had to do this and then do it like 3 or 4 times, this process. And it was very difficult because even if I have an idea of a design in my head, I can't just, I don't see it. It's just a concept. It's just like words. So I can't literally visualize it to replicate it out on paper. I have to kind of like, I can have an idea and then I can start to draw it and then I have to erase and, keep adding to until I can try to match the idea in my head. But since there's no concrete visualization, it can be a struggle. But I really enjoy being creative. I've always wished I had that, what's the right word? Just that uniqueness, though, going back to the T-Rex head and the T-Rex feet. Like, until I saw what other artists have done to show me, oh, you could be like super out of the box with this, then it's like that light switch gets turned on. And then my brain will start thinking of different patterns for it. But I, again, have to reference so many things to get that kind of like clicked on. So I've talked to lots of other people who have aphantasia, and there are some of them who are just like, nope, not creative. Like just the general population. Some people feel like they're creative people and some people don't. So just because you have aphantasia does not mean that you are not going to be creative. It's just we have to approach our creativity from a different way than a visualizer would do. So, like I said, so a lot of people are like aphantasia, and that barrier to not being able to see it in their mind was enough, or maybe they just had other interests where they're like, I'm just not a creative person, like not into it. And then there's other people who have aphantasia who are like, yes, I've just got all these like big ideas, but I can't see them. And so you have to create out in 3D space. Like, I mean, right, every creator creates out in 3D space, but for a person with aphantasia, we don't get to see what we're trying to create until we do it. Like we have the idea in our head, but it does not, you can't see it, but we also don't get to see it until it's out there in 3D space. So a lot of aphantasia people, I mean, pretty much I think everyone that I've talked to says that they pull from references, from books, from movies, just from the internet. And I think even like a lot of famous artists, that's how they start too. Even if they have their own ideas, they start by learning, by copying. Even in ancient days, like artists had interns and they would copy the work of the master until they learned their own skill and then was able to create their own unique way. Fonts just have a different way to go about that. Anyway, so yeah, I get that question a lot about if you have aphantasia, can you be creative? And the definitive answer is you can. You definitely can be a creative person. It's just your creativity is going to come to fruition differently than a visualizer. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, make sure you comment down below because I love being able to answer the questions and maybe use them for future videos. I hope all of you have a wonderful start to 2023. And until the next video, bye guys.